yeah. Kingdom citizen of Wisconsin. Kingdom citizen, kingdom citizen, yeah. Kingdom citizen. Blessings, blessings, everybody. God bless you. Been a while. Been a while. And I am looking forward to talking tonight. It has been a while. A lot of things happened uh, since our last show. We have officially announced our candidacy for mayor of Milwaukee. And I am excited about running for office. I'm excited about everything that's going on in our lives, and been at the ballpark for the last 3 days and got 4 more days to go over at the ballpark. We are still fundraising for the school, and so we are excited about that. Also, we got another announcement to make. I think the news is going to come in tomorrow. And when it does, I will share with you guys uh, the news. I'm excited about that as well. So there's some things that we're doing to improve the city of Milwaukee um, during election time or coming up to election time. A lot of things start to happen. And tonight, I just want to talk for a few minutes. And for those that are out there, just text in and say hellos uh, so that I know you out there. Just say hi, how you doing, um, and everything. So I'm just tagging a couple of more people into the show so you guys can come on in, because I want to talk about images and the danger of being careful what you see or even how you perceive something that you are looking at. And so when we're talking about it, I give you a prime example. Um, Prime example is when most of us in the black families, when we grew up, there was a picture in all of our homes or our grandparents' home of Dr. Martin Luther King and the two Kennedy brothers. And for a long time, unless you do homework, you would have thought, one, Dr. King was a Democrat, and two, you would have thought that the Kennedy brothers really liked Dr. King. But neither one of those are true. Dr. King was not a Democrat, and the Kennedy brothers did not like Dr. King. If you look at the images of Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, the image that shows will make you think that they're for the black community. But if you dig deeper, you'll find out they was not. If you look at the NAACP, you'll say, wow, they're for the black community. But if you dig deeper, they're not. If you look at the news this week, on Monday, we had a press conference to announce our candidacy for the mayor of Milwaukee. And no mainstream media showed up for the press conference. But right after that, the Image, they had Mayor Johnson on the South Side doing what they call a peace walk. Images. Today, they had a faith-based breakfast with Mayor Johnson. Images. News reporters was there, and they were making it seem like, oh, we really after the faith-based community come out and help with things that's going on. Images. Not so. Really, let's take a look. Let's go deeper. There are things going on where if you do the homework, African American children are getting suspended in a large number more than any other children out there. Whether they're Asian, white, Latinos, African American children are being suspended the most. You think our mayor say something about that? No. The highest rate of children that can't read or do math at their grade level in MPS is African American children. Do you think our mayor is saying anything about that? No. A person can do a crime in the Black community and get out on bail, but if that same person would have did that same crime in a white community, then that bail would have been higher. We have more people running the streets on bail committing more crimes than any county in Wisconsin. We have a mayor that never speaks out against Black on Black crime. We have a mayor that never speaks out on asking elected officials to revisit the child abuse law so they could define the difference between abuse and discipline, and then they get on TV and tell parents to get your children. We have a mayor who claimed he cares about Milwaukee because now all of a sudden it's Peace Week. Peace Week. You get 1 week out of a year and call it Peace Week, like you really care about the community. But he don't. But the images, the pictures of him at a breakfast with pastors and him walking the streets because everybody's sick and tired of the crime, but he's not doing anything about the crime. Now, this is the same mayor that says that Milwaukee ain't got no money and they're going to close 6th District, or they're going to try to think about closing the 6th District Police Department. This is the same mayor who's also been an auto person, and the only time he talked about crime in neighborhoods when the crime came in his neighborhood. This is the same mayor that never spoke out for anything that benefits the families of people in Milwaukee unless it's downtown. But the images, what we see on TV, what we see is not actually what it is. You have to do your homework. You have to go a little deeper. You have to make sure that whatever you do or whatever you say or whatever you see, you don't take it at face value. You have to go deeper. And when we look at what's going on in our city, it's because of leadership. It's because of our local officials, and when it comes to lawmaking. When you look at what's going on in crime, and you look at our district attorney and how they're letting people back out on the street, and then an innocent child or adult end up murdered by somebody that was supposed to be behind bars. It's not a big story unless it's a different race. It's not a big story unless it's something where, because we all understand that Main Street media get paid by negativity. We know that they will focus on negativity before they focus on anything positive. We know that they love, before even doing homework, before even making sure it's real, but they'll put it up anyway and never come back and say we was wrong. You ever notice that? Mainstream media never come back and apologize, never come back and say, well, we made a mistake, never come back and say anything. And then they say, well, it's freedom of speech. But when that freedom of speech is hurting somebody else, then it's no longer freedom of speech. We allow them to lie. We allow them to manipulate. We allow them to promote hatred and division. We allow that. And so when you start to go, don't look at the image. Don't look at the images that they put on TV because they're trying to make somebody look good, because now it's election time. And you probably say, well, we just got out of election time. But it's election time locally, because February, which is not far away, every elected official in the city of Milwaukee is up for re-election. Every one of them. Every elected official, every county official is up for re-election. And let's get real. I know we don't like talking about real stuff, or we don't like dealing with realness, or we don't like addressing the elephant in the room. Not one person can tell me you are satisfied with the services that has been given into the city of Milwaukee. Not one person can tell me that they are okay with the lack of service that we're receiving in the city of Milwaukee. Not one person can really tell me you enjoy leadership only unless you enjoy crumbs. And I stole this phrase from my dear friend Jason Fields. And Jason Fields always said, either you are at the table or you are on the menu. Either you're at the table or you are on the menu. And so when you start to look at everything that's going on, everything that's being said right now, and you look at your city, you can tell they're lying. They're talking about marching for peace. How many times do we have a march for peace, but no other action comes behind the march for peace so we can solve the problem? Because they get paid when the problem stays there. They get paid. And so now they're going to try to pimp the faith-based community. And they're doing photo ops with faith-based leaders. Leaders, we see what's going on. We have to do the funerals of those young men and those young women that are dying out here. We have to go help family members set up funeral arrangements who never done it before. We see this. So how can y'all have a break bread with somebody who's is just using you? He really don't want anything done. He don't want anything solved. He don't want the city changed. But we are just as faith-based leaders. We are supposed to be the gatekeepers of our city. As faith-based leaders, we're supposed to be the leaders in our communities. As faith-based leaders, we're supposed to be the pillow of our community, the light and the salt of our community. But if we keep accepting this mess that is going on and just going along with the mayor just to go along, if we're playing Esau and giving up our birthright, our spiritual birthright for $1 from Pharaoh, because it's not coming from Jacob, it's coming from Pharaoh. So if we're taking briberies to do something with a mayor who's not doing anything for our children, is not doing anything for the safety of our city, but want to tax you more money because they mismanaged the money, and we okay with this? As faith-based leaders, we teach our members to be good stewards. We teach our members that you have to be a better manager with what you have. You need to manage it better. We have folks that come in your church and they'll tell you they need help with their rent, and you go through a whole lot before you help pay their rent to make sure they didn't have the money or they didn't mess over their money, and now you bailing them out. But then you hang with these elected officials who mismanage money and now want to raise taxes so you can bail them out, and that's okay. It's not okay. It is not okay for us to continue to bail them out when they're not doing a good job for us. They're doing piss poor performance. We're not safe. We don't get the service that we desire. They're charging you on, those of you that are homeowners, they're charging you street light fees and don't even have the street lights on. Are they prorating that for you? No, they're not. So they're using the faith-based community to try to make themselves look good because they got an election coming up. So they'll sprinkle some crumbs on you so that you can bite on that and support like they're really doing some work. If anything, we as a faith-based community should say enough is enough. If anything, we as a faith-based community should tell the mayor to get out of our way and allow us to do what we know we need to do. But that's not what's happening right now. Somebody asked me today, they had a faith-based breakfast where you invited. And I said, no. And everybody know why I'm not invited. Number one, I don't sit in the Democrat seat. Number two, I would never sell the trust of the people. And number three, I never will shut up. So that's why I wasn't invited. And number four is because I'm running against the mayor. So no, he's not going to invite me to what his so-called faith-based meeting or faith-based breakfast for Peace Week. It should be Peace Week every week. We should come together every week and start solving problems. You're not going to have peace if you don't solve problems. And you can't solve problems with the same system that caused the problem. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So when you start to look at everything, the only way Milwaukee is going to be a better city is the people of Milwaukee unite. Stop allowing the image of the donkey or the elephant hinder you from coming together, working together for the betterment of the city. Stop letting color separate you from coming together for the betterment of the city. Stop allowing economics from allowing you to come together for the city. We cannot afford to continue to allow things that is not important right now. What's important is we stop these babies from dying. What's important? You can go to the store and come back home safely. What's important is we help those that graduate that can't read or write learn how to read and write so they can get a good job and take care of themselves. What's more important, we ought to take those that didn't graduate that can't read and write and work with them so they can read and write and then help them get a job to take care of their families. That's what's important right now. All this other stuff, it's not important. It's not important. So we have to come together and we have to look at this thing for what it really is. And you know what we need to say to one another? Let's put that petty stuff to the side. How do we make Milwaukee a better city? You know, it really bothers me when people say, you know, I really want to come in Milwaukee, but Milwaukee is not as safe. It's not safe. I would love to come to Milwaukee. Milwaukee has some good stuff, but they're going to shoot me if I come to Milwaukee. Because why? That's the image that media portrayed. That's the image. But it's not as bad as people make it out to be. Yeah, we have some cancer in our city. Yes, we have some issues in our city. But it's not that bad. So they need that image that Milwaukee is so terrible that it'll scare people away from Milwaukee. But I'm here to tell you it's not that bad. And we can make Milwaukee a better place. But it's going to take, I had to fix my Steelers, but it's going to have to take each and every one of us to want to come together. It's not going to take one person. It takes all of us. And that's why I said the leadership that we have in this city. When I say leadership, I'm not just talking about the mayor. I'm talking about every elected official that is out here that is misrepresenting the people. Because what's out here now, the people didn't want that. The people didn't vote for that. What's out here now, what's going on now, is not what the people wanted. So they misrepresented us once again. And then they'll do something in a park or a block party to make you think that they're doing what you want done. But I'm going to tell you who our mayor is making sure agenda comes to pass. And that's the person that helped him win this candidacy. And that's Chris Abele. That's who pocket our mayors in. And that's why he won't speak on the crime in black communities. He won't speak on the crime really in Latinos communities. He's not going to talk about it to say, hey, y'all put the guns down. Let's come together. He's not going to talk about black on black crime. Because let's be honest, there are more black on black crime than there are police on black crime. He's not going to talk about what they're doing in the school system with transgender. He's not going to talk about the books that are pornography that's in the school system. He's not going to talk about how they have transgenders coming into the school, reading books to the children. They're not going to talk about those kind of things because he's not allowed to. Because if he was, and he told the black community he's there for them, he would have did it. Now, everybody knows me. No, I am not prejudiced. But they also know me that I'm going to share what I feel is right or what I feel is wrong. And when you have a community that is hurting and detention is not where the hurt is, and they're not doing anything to make it better, but it's steady getting worse, you know I'm going to speak up on it. And so, if y'all be honest, and a lot of y'all won't be, but if y'all be honest, you scared to come in the black community because of what you heard about the black community. You're afraid to come in the black community. But every black elected official says, vote for me, and I'm going to take care of the black community. You have Democrats who says to the black community all the time, vote for me, and I'm going to take care of you. And they have not taken care of the black community. Because, and I'm not giving any party a pass, I'm going to tell the truth on both sides, but when you look at it, the Democrat Party goes into the black community and they say they're there for the black community, but the black community is getting worse and worse under the hands of Democrat leadership. And the sad part about it is they know y'all ain't paying attention. Y'all not paying attention. You got black Democrats that leave Milwaukee and go to you got black Democrats that leave Milwaukee who is under black leadership and go to a Republican state and prosper. How many of your family members done left Milwaukee and went to Texas and they prospered? How many of your family members left Milwaukee and went to Florida and is prospering? Go to sleep, Ruben. Just get you some rest. How many they have prospered? When y'all get these envelopes or vote things asking you to support the NAACP, you know what you ought to tell the NAACP? When are you going to support us? You know what you ought to tell the NAACP? When are y'all going to make a press conference to talk about black on black crime? When are y'all going to do a press conference and talk about stop aborting the black children because we done aborted over 20 million blacks, and the NAACP is supposed to be there for the black community. When are you going to get up and say something about that? When is the NAACP is going to get up and say, you know what, the education system that our children is getting suck? When are you going to, you want money from us? You want us to be membership of an organization that does not represent our community? Black, do y'all understand that the oldest civil rights group out here is the NRA? It's not the NAACP. It's the NRA, National Rifle Association. Do y'all know it was them who went into the South, and it was them who gave black families guns and ammunition and says, now defend yourself, protect yourself? Do y'all know it was the NRA, not the NAACP? Do y'all know in the 50s, late 50s, early 60s, when they were sterilizing black women, the NAACP wouldn't say nothing about it? So again, images. Do y'all not know that the Planned Parenthood, who's now all of a sudden trying to claim they're supporting black women, was founded by a woman that wanted to do black genocide? She hated black people, and we're supporting Planned Parenthood. She hated black people. She wanted blacks to get a permit to have a child. Do y'all ever just stop for a minute and just do some research to see who these people are that you're supporting or what you're getting behind? Because they're not for us. You got blacks that says they hate the Ku Klux Klan, they hate the KKK, but they support the party that birthed the KKK out. And don't give me that dumb stuff, the party switched, because the party did not switch. Now, I talk about the Republican Party too. I talk about the blacks that's in the Republican Party too. I talk about the Republican Party. I talk about the Democrat Party. Wrong is wrong. And we need to just look at it for what it really is. And the problem that we have is we don't want to look at it for what it really is. How are we going to stop these killings? How are we going to stop reduce the crime when we don't even want to admit that there's a real issue? We sit here and we let the elected officials get on TV and tell parents, get your children, knowing that if a parent discipline their child, that parent is going to jail for child abuse. You guys, y'all allowing them to get you into this big fight over abortion. I mean, it's a big fight. It's a nasty fight over abortion. But did anybody stop for a second, especially whether you black, white, Latino, whatever? Have y'all ever stopped that when they do an abortion, they don't call it a baby, but they call it a fetus? Right? But if a man or a woman kill a woman that's pregnant, that's double homicide. So it can't be both now. You can't have an abortion and say, oh, I just got rid of the fetus. But then if you're pregnant and somebody kill you, it's a double homicide. We're not even just slowing down to pay attention to ask the obvious question. If the same person that want to prosecute you for a double homicide is the same person that says when a woman goes into Planned Parenthood, she's not killing a child, it's a fetus. Same person. But we're not paying it no attention. We're not addressing it. We're not saying nothing about it. We're just letting them do whatever they want to do. We're just allowing them to continue to mess up the city, mess up families. A father and a mother that care about their child and they discipline their child will go to jail because the child abuse law has not been defined the difference between discipline and abuse. And that's why the children is running wild. Because they know if the parents put their hand on them, they can call child protection. Now, I'm not talking about parents that are literally abusing their children. I'm talking about those that discipline it, those that love their children and discipline their children and want better for their children and making sure that they're in school and correcting them when they do wrong. Because now a parent can take a child phone, a child can go to school upset, and all of a sudden that parent is being investigated over abuse because she took the phone away from her child because he or she is not acting right. How is that abuse? A parent fussing at their child because they love their child and they don't want their child to be out on the streets getting murdered, getting killed, and they're fussing at them, and that's abuse. How is that abuse? We ain't saying nothing. We just allowing them to continue to violate us, continue to come into our lives and dictate to us how we're supposed to live, how we're supposed to do things according to their rules and not ours. And not ours. They should never be in our house telling us how to raise our children. It should never be a law telling you how to raise our children. It should never be a law that a parent that loves their child are disciplining their child to make sure their child goes in the right direction, go to jail. That should never happen. Never. But that's what we have allowed. That's what we have allowed. That's what we are doing in these days and time. We're sending our children to school. Their school is getting a lot of money for the kids, and the kids don't even have the proper books in the school. Teachers that love teaching and love their kids are coming out their own pocket to make sure they got what they need for their classes. And in one classroom, you got almost $375,000 in one classroom. One classroom. The school board are the ones who okay the curriculum in the schools. So when the last time you checked the curriculum of the school, and I'm talking about MPS now, go look at the curriculum and see if you're okay with that curriculum. We have to invest in ourselves. We have to come together, and we have to do this in a way where we open up our mouth and say enough is enough. Right now, I just saw where in Chicago, a bunch of illegal aliens are now going to be housed in a old high school. 250 to 500 illegal aliens on the south side of Chicago going to be housed in a school, and they are upset. And why are they upset? Because here's the thing about it. Illegal aliens is going to replace the black votes, and they're not going to need y'all anymore. They're going to replace your votes. That's why Ukraine, people here from Ukraine are getting your SSI checks or your Social Security checks. People from the Ukraine are getting what you're supposed to get when you're ready to retire. They're getting it now. So it won't be there when you're ready to retire. You guys got to open up your eyes. And you got to see what they're doing. Because it all falls on us. Because we're asleep. James Madison said, knowledge will always govern ignorance. If they can keep you ignorant, if they can keep you not doing research, if they can keep you at a place where you're not really concerned about what they're doing, then they win. They win. Don't pay attention to the hype. That this so-called Peace Week is a ploy. The mayor don't care about it, about the people here. If it's newsworthy, he'll come out in front of the camera. But look at all the people that died that never made it to the camera. Look at all the people that got shot and never made it to the camera. Look at all the children, young and old adults that have OD'd. When the last time you heard Mayor Johnson talk about the overdose problem that we have in our community? So many people dying of overdose. When the last time you hear him talk about that? So many veterans are hurting and homeless. When have he talked about that? So many people dealing with mental illness. When the last time you hear him talk about that? Oh, it's coming up when it's Mental Illness Week. Come on, people. Stop letting them play us. We have these problems every single day. Look out as you drive tomorrow, as you drive through the city tomorrow. Look at all of those out there with mental illness trying to get $1 or $2 or just wandering. Don't know really where they're going. They're just wandering. Why? Because some of them live in some of these little group homes and they eat breakfast and then they out on the streets until it's time for dinner. We have a serious mental illness problem in our city. Is he talking about it? No. And I'm not even talking to those of you that already took the biscuit off the table and you're getting paid by him to promote him so you can get more money. I'm talking about the people that deals with it on a daily basis. I'm talking about people that took time out of their own time to go out into the streets and deal with mental illness. To deal with mental illness. One night we was out there until midnight trying to get one to get in the car and go home so he can be safe. Sometimes family have they so tired they don't know what to do, and they just don't know what to do. They worried about their loved ones. They don't want to wake up and get a phone call because that person done wandered the streets and somebody shot him or robbed him or hurt him or he hurt somebody. I mean, you guys, we got real issues in our city. We got mental illness. We got drug overdose. We got shootings, stabbings, domestic violence, incest, sex trafficking. Is he talking about sex trafficking? No, he's not. Why? Because it's not important. You guys got to understand that. The reason they're not talking about it, because to them, it's not important. That's why they're not going to talk about it. It's not important. But to you and I, it's important. And this is why we got a serious time to think. It's a serious time for us. And during that serious time, we got to think, but we got to also do action. And we got to come up with an awesome game plan that's going to help everybody, that's going to deal with everybody. And so when we look at this for what it really is, and when we understand that it takes all of us. When we was coming up, they used to have this phrase that says it take a village to raise a child. We had a village. We had a village. You couldn't come on our block and do just anything. We had a village. We was there for one another. We have been there for one another. We have made sure our parents made sure, our neighbors made sure. You couldn't do nothing in our neighborhood and another parent saw it and you thought you just got away with it. Don't happen like that. Not at all. It's time for us to get back to some of the good old values, things that work. And we know a lot of parents gotta work. And we also know that it's hard to trust other people right now because so much is going on. But we need a core people that you can trust, that you can say, you know what, I gotta work. If I get a call, can I put your name down at the school and you go up there and represent me and see what's going on with my child and make sure that they're doing their work and let me know what the teacher says. Can you do that for me? Can we do that for one another? As a pastor, I've done that many times for single moms. They would call me and say, can you go up to the school? The school had my number. That if the child clowned at school, I got the call and I went to the school. That's how we supposed to do it. We're supposed to be able to be there for one another. I understand you guys, a lot of you can't afford to leave work, get off work. A lot of you can't afford to leave early or miss a day. That's where we as a community comes in. That's where we as a community comes in, and we demand better from our school board. We demand better from our elected officials. We demand better from one another. Hey, I'm gonna watch your back, you watch mine. If you're not home, I'm gonna watch your house, you watch mine. I'll let you know who came to your house. Matter of fact, y'all know how we do it these days. I got a ring. So you know what? I help watch your house, you watch mine while I'm at work. We can have that again. We just gotta want it. We just gotta want to be a community again. Don't let them lie to you and say the only way Milwaukee is going to be fixed if Madison give more money or if federal give more dollars. That's not the problem. We're not being good stewards with what we got. It's not, we can shift blame all day long. And if you play that game that they want you to play, it's Democrats' fault, it's Republican fault, then nothing is ever going to change. Every time we fuss at a Milwaukee official, they say, well, the Republicans in Madison won't give us no more money. But what they won't tell you is, how did we get here? Before you tell me about you need more money, how did we get here? How did we get in this mess here that we are in right now? Nobody want to talk about that. How did we get here? How did we get to a place where now Milwaukee, according to their prediction, in 2025 will be broke? But they steady paying people to keep up their image. Character never need an image consultant. So you guys got to understand that. And you got to realize that once we start asking the real questions, the right questions, like for example, when they knock on your door, you know what you should say? They knock on your door. Why should I vote for you? Why should I vote for you? That's what you should say. What have you really done? Why should I re-elect you? Why should I put you back in office? What have you really done for me to do this? That's what you should ask. That's what you should ask. So, as I leave you, who's bold enough? Who is bold enough to stand up, to be part of the solution instead of stay sitting down and being part of the problem? That is just something I wanted to ask tonight. Stop allowing images to fool you like they're really for you, because you know they're not. And it's time to put people in office that really care. This is Dr. David D. King. Until next time, God bless.
Kingdom citizen, yeah, yeah, kingdom citizen.